Hey guys, what's up? It's all about Mike 18 here with another TV episode review. Guys, what day of the week it is? Oh yeah, that's right. It is Monday night, guys. And Monday night, I do watch one show on TV on Monday night, and that one show is Bates Motel. That's right, guys. I just watched the newest episode of Bates Motel tonight, about 15 minutes ago, and here I am with my review. First off, guys, before I go any further, I apologize if I start to lose my voice by the end of the video, and I apologize for the fact my voice is hoarse and I don't sound right. I went to a basketball game earlier today to support a team that I know, some people that I know on this team, and I completely threw out my voice because things got crazy in the game, and I wasn't as bad as I was before. You know, I've had some water, but when I first started screaming, I sounded terrible. But I still am trying to get over this, so not only is my voice going slowly, but I'm also very exhausted. I've had a long day, so I'm going to try to get through this review as quickly and as easily as possible. So let's get to it, guys. And as you guys know, I reviewed last week's Season 1 premiere. I wasn't sure if I was going to review Bates Motel weekly as each episode was aired, but I made up my mind. I am going to review this show weekly because Walking Dead ends in 3 weeks, so I won't have any other TV show to talk about, so I am going to be reviewing Bates Motel each episode until the end of the season. So guys, tonight's episode was Season 2, Episode 2. The title of the episode was Shadow of a Doubt. And, of course, guys, this video is going to be spoiler filled, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, do not watch this review yet until you watch it. But as soon as you do watch it, then come back and check out my review of it. Now guys, as you know, if you watched my review of last week's episode, I wasn't a huge fan of last week's episode. It was a decent premiere, but it didn't satisfy me. You know, I expected more. It was a little slow, a little unexciting, in my opinion. The whole Bradley story was a little far-fetched. I was like, it was a little rushed and whatnot, but so I wanted more. I definitely wanted more, and overall I can say I was very satisfied with how tonight's episode went. I really like what they did with tonight's episode. This was a really good episode of Bates Motel. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Actually, the ending, I loved the ending of tonight's episode, so I can't wait to discuss it all. Now, guys, there were 4 main storylines really that happened tonight, and if I had to complain about anything in tonight's show, it would be that there were way too many storylines. I feel a show should generally have between 2 to 3 storylines an episode. This show had at least 4, maybe 2 main stories and about 2 subplots, but that's too much in my opinion. And how exhausted I am, that was tough on me. But anyway, I wrote notes. I wrote a lot of notes. Look at how many notes I wrote. Look at this, front and back. That's a lot of writing. So excuse me if I periodically look down to look at my notes in case I'm not forgetting anything, because a lot did happen tonight. But anyway, basically the 4 main storylines are: number 1, Norman. Bradley is in hiding because of her actions from last week, so she goes to Norman for help. She's trying to get a new life, start a new life, and whatnot. Second main storyline is Dylan is trying to investigate this whole murder of this Gill Turner guy. As we all know, Bradley shot and killed that guy last week because she believed that he killed her father, and apparently he did. So Dylan and his whole weed business, they're trying to figure out who is the one responsible for Gill Turner's murder, because as we all know, Gill was part of Dylan's business. Another subplot going on tonight was Norma tries to get Norman to audition for this kind of like musical thing that's going on, which was a little dumb, but it made sense. And then the other storyline that I think they could have waited maybe till next week, but it makes sense why they did it in this episode. Sheriff Romero finds a lead in Miss Watson's murder case. So all that happened tonight, so that's a lot to discuss. So anyway, let's get to it, guys. First off, I guess I'll start off with Bradley's story, I guess. As we all know, Bradley was very vengeful last week. She had a vendetta to find out who killed her father because of that business he was connected with. Apparently, he was having an affair with Miss Watson, and Bradley started asking around. She started trying to find some clues, and she eventually came across a Mr. Gill Turner, and of course, she seduced him last week, in last week's episode, and that wasn't her real intention, though. As we all know, she shot and killed him right through the head, bullet right through the head, blew his brains out. And then, of course, she went to Norman's to ask him if he still has her back, if he would assist her. So Norman agrees to help Bradley, and Bradley is hiding out down in Norman's cellar, where he does his taxidermy experiments. And Norman has agreed to help her, and Bradley she admits to Norman the truth of why she is hiding. She tells him that she killed Gill Turner, and of course Norman is going to help her. Now, there's going to be repercussions of what she did. Of course, the police become involved, and Dylan and this other guy that he had been with in the whole entire episode, they find out that somebody killed Gill Turner, who's a part of the business. However, they don't suspect Dylan right away. He does not suspect that Bradley was responsible, because as we all know, last week Bradley was asking around, so I thought that Dylan would right away think it was Bradley, but he doesn't right away. However, him, along with everyone else that's a part of his business, this weed protecting business that fuels the whole town, they all believe that somebody from a rival drug business, a marijuana or weed business, whatever, is the one who killed Gill Turner. So their mission in this episode is to find out who exactly killed Gill, and this is going to create this whole big drug war that's going on that the producers and the creators of the show have been talking about in interviews. That is what Dylan is going to be involved in the next couple of episodes, I guess. So that whole storyline starts off tonight. However, little do they know, this rival business that they suspect are responsible for Gill's murder, they did not do anything. It was really Bradley, because she thought that this guy killed her father, and apparently he did. So Norman has agreed to help Bradley. He even goes to the store and buys things for her, as a way to disguise herself, and she dyes her hair, gets new clothes. She plans to get on a bus and start a completely new life. Bradley's mother's asking around, asking all these questions. Where's her daughter? Bradley's missing. Missing posters for Bradley are put all around the town, and everyone's trying to find her, and no one really knows that she's the one who's responsible for Gils' death. Meanwhile, that whole subplot with Norma trying to get Norman to audition for a musical, basically, as Norma was last week, Norma's still concerned for Norman. She feels that she's worried about him, especially with what he told her last week about how he blacked out at Miss Watson's house. She's concerned for him. She even asked her gynecologist about blackouts in a very awkward scene. And she wants to get Norman out of that cellar, wants to get him more involved. So she wants to do this. She wants to audition and do this this musical with him. So they practice with each other. Norman really doesn't want to do it. He's really preoccupied about trying to get Bradley out of his house and into her new life, but Norma wants Norman to do this with her. So Norman reluctantly agrees, and eventually he's like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And in a way, while I feel that storyline was kind of useless, I like that because you see how Norma wants to be so close to Norman, and it really makes sense when you think about it. That relationship between Norma and Norman, it is smart. So that storyline, while it was a little dumb, it didn't really need to be there. It was smart, so I got to give it that. Meanwhile, Sheriff Romero is being pressured to find out answers for Miss Watson's death. Miss Watson's father, who was the guy who visited the grave last week, that was revealed that was her father. I think I have a name here, but I bet I can't find it. Nick. Yeah, Miss Watson's father, his name is Nick. There goes my throat. He wants answers. He is questioning Romero. He's not exactly happy as to why Romero is spending more time on trying to find who Gill Turner's murderer was over Miss Watson, because of course this whole marijuana business fuels the town. So I like that whole aspect of that's going on. I love how there's this whole marijuana weed business going on that's fueling this town. The cops all know about it. They allow it. They're okay with it. That's awesome. But anyway. So yeah, Romero's being pressured to find a lead. Eventually he does. Apparently they, out of nowhere, 6 months after Miss Watson's been murdered, I guess they actually did an autopsy on her body. Finally, I don't know. And they find that there have been semen stains inside of her that led up to her murder. Before she was murdered, there were semen stains found within her. Apparently, Miss Watson, let me just say this much. Miss Watson apparently got around the block. Let me just say that much. Apparently, she slept with two men. So Sheriff Romero finally does get a lead, and he believes that this kid, I forget his name, I think his name is Kyle, apparently he's been dealing drugs and stuff, takes him into custody after the police break into his house, I guess, and they arrest him and bring him to custody. So yeah. And Romero, like I said, Romero is pressured to find leads. Now let me just make sure I'm going in some kind of order. I know I'm skipping around, I'm jumping around about the order of how everything happened. Yeah, guys, like I said, I'm just not with it tonight. I shouldn't have even watched the episode tonight. I should have waited till tomorrow, but I wanted to watch it, and I'm glad I did because it was good. So anyway, in a very tense scene in the episode, Norma almost finds Bradley in the basement, in the cellar, because Norma was looking for Norman because they wanted to practice for the audition, the musical audition. And meanwhile, Dylan is, he's suspicious of Norman because he wants to know where Bradley is. Doesn't have all the exact answers yet. And everyone is still convinced in his business that it's someone from the rival from a rival business. So Dylan has this meeting with this guy who he's been with all episode. I don't know his name. His name escapes me. He sets up this meeting with his boss's brother, apparently, and his boss's brother, played by Michael Eklund, apparently kidnapped a guy from the rival business, and they meet out in this deserted place, Dylan and these guys, and Dylan's boss's brother shoots and kills this guy from the rival business because they suspect their business, they suspect they're responsible for Gil's murder. And so now they're getting some kind of war going on there, and so they inadvertently, they're starting this war. They're going to start this kind of like skirmish between these two rival marijuana businesses because they believed that the other business killed Gil when it was really Bradley. So see what you did, Bradley? Damn it! You're going to have two marijuana businesses fighting each other and going for each other's throats and whatnot. Okay, so I think that's it for the first page already. It's about time. So yeah, I talked about the drug war. So it's the night of the audition. Norman has promised Bradley that he would take her to a bus stop to get her on her, to get her to her new life, new identity and whatever. And Norman is also going to this audition with Norma. And the audition, there's a lot of people auditioning. It's running into Norman's schedule because Norman is supposed to meet Bradley at 8 o'clock. It is coming pretty close, and Norman cannot get Bradley to... He can't leave because he's supposed to be doing this thing with Norma. So, Norman kind of like chickens out while the two of them are waiting to audition and tells her, I can't be here, it's taking too long, I gotta go. He's trying to hide the fact that he has to go help Bradley, of course. And so the two of them have a bit of a scene during the audition. Norman gets pissed at him, and they walk outside. They have kind of like a heart-to-heart, and Norman's like, oh, I've never wanted to do this, but we understand why. He just wants to get out. He's got to get to Bradley. And Norma just freaks out and loses it, and she tells Norman that she found Miss Watson's pearl necklace. And earlier in the episode, that is true. Norma finds Miss Watson's pearl necklace while, I guess, cleaning Norman's room. So she suspects Norman definitely of having murdered Miss Watson now because he has her pearl necklace, and he kept a newspaper clipping of her. So Norman explains that, saying that he had no clue the night that all that happened, Miss Watson's death and all that. He left her house, and he claims that he woke up in the morning because of that blackout, and the pearls were in his pocket. Now, that really makes me believe that he killed her. I mean, I know that Romero arrested that guy for killing Miss Watson, but there's no way in hell that guy killed her. We all know that. I think you guys know that. I hope you guys know that. I think that's right. I don't think that guy, I highly doubt he did. I'm still betting all my money that Norman was the one who killed Miss Watson. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. It makes a lot of sense, you know, this whole blackout thing. It really would make sense, and in a way I kind of hope he was the one who killed Miss Watson. So Norma is very concerned for Norma. That's why she wanted to do this whole musical thing in the first place, I guess, and especially with her finding the beads, it just added coal to the fires. So that is why she wanted to spend time with him, get him away from the cellar, and get him away from this whole, this whole problem with Miss Watson. So Norman agrees to go back in there with her, and he is gonna, not go get Bradley. So calls Dylan up and tells him the whole story. Tells him Bradley killed Gil. So Dylan finally gets the answer he's been looking for all episode, and he tells Dylan to take Bradley to the bus stop because Norman can't go. So that's what happens. At first I thought Dylan was actually going to bring Bradley to his business, but I was wrong. I was surprised. Dylan actually helped Bradley, and it makes sense. The two of them had a bit of a, not like a romantic relationship last season, but they had a few scenes together, so it makes sense. But anyway, Norma ends up killing her audition. I gotta praise Vera Farmiga. She sang really good, and I know she obviously doesn't sing usually, but she did a pretty damn good job. So Dylan brings Bradley to the bus stop. They're waiting, having some coffee, and Dylan explains that these guys they want answers. The men in his business, they want answers. So he has Bradley do something I didn't see coming. He has her write a suicide note. He's gonna, I guess he's going to leave the suicide note somewhere and find it and bring it to the guys with some of her clothes, making it look like Bradley killed Gil, which she really did. However, the suicide note is going to obviously say that she's dead, she killed herself, but Bradley is meanwhile going to go off and get her new identity, start her new life, and start over again, start fresh. And that's exactly what happens. Dylan takes the note, I guess, and Bradley gets on the bus and leaves. Dylan returns to Bates Motel. Norman and Norman have just returned from the audition, and they're very happy. Emma comes up. Emma finally comes into the episode. She tells them that Sheriff Romero finally arrested that Kyle guy for the murder of Miss Watson. So Norma is instantly relieved because she thought Norman was the one who did it. But now they have their first arrest. However, we all know that no way in hell that guy did that. So, and meanwhile, earlier before the end of the episode, Sheriff Romero walks into that guy's cell and tells him, "You know what? I hate when I can't find out who killed someone when I'm trying to solve a murder case." So he's like, "You know what? We're going to charge you for the murder of Miss Watson." So I think Romero even knows that this guy may not have killed her, but at this point he's just like, "You know what? I got Miss Watson's father breathing down my neck. I gotta get an arrest made." So he arrests this kid. And I still have a strong feeling Norman did it. I think we all believe Norman did it. But anyway, so Norma is cheerful. She finally believes Norman is innocent. She goes into the hotel, into their house. Norman just sits down at the stairs as Dylan comes up and tells her everything went well with Bradley. He gives Norman a note from Bradley saying, "You are the best person I've ever met." This makes Norman feel very good because you still remember that relationship the two of them had in the first half of the season, in the first season, and Bradley really did trust Norman. He always was for her. So this gives Norman, some peace of mind. It makes him feel good about himself as he just sits and stares off into the distance. And we think that's the end of the episode. However, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, there's no way they're going to end the episode like this. I knew something interesting was going to happen in the end, and I was right. The very last scene in the episode, a guy walks into a gas station and asks an employee where Bates Motel is. And the guy says, "Oh, it's just up the road a little bit." And the guy says, "Why? Who are you looking for?" And the guy says, "I'm looking for Norma Bates." And he's a very creepy, weird-looking guy. And and then the guy asks him, "Why? Well, what do you need her for?" Whatever. And the guy says, "Oh, I'm Norma Bates' brother." And that's how the episode ends. And I was like, Whoa, that's crazy. As well known, the end of the first season, Norma admitted to Norman that she used to be raped by her brother, and now he is going to come back into her life. He apparently wants to find Norma for something. We don't know why. Obviously, they're going to continue it in next week's episode. So there you have it, guys. There's the whole episode. 20 minutes. 20 minutes took me to explain this damn episode. See, that's how much happened in tonight's episode. I'm sorry, guys. It took that long. But a lot happened tonight, guys. So, yeah. Big fan of that ending. You know, one may say that, oh, it's a little convenient. Bradley's finally out of the story. She's gone. She's apparently not going to come back. Dylan knows the truth about Gil's murder. Norma believes that Norman didn't kill Miss Watson, and Sheriff Romero is arresting this guy. So you're like, oh, everything's kind of at peace now, really, for the most part. Now they're going to just introduce the storyline with Norma's brother, and you could argue that that's a little convenient. Of course, they're just going to introduce that now. Of course, he's coming to look for her just as all of that is resolved for the most part. You can argue that. A few other problems I had with the episode, like I said, too much going on in tonight's episode. Just a little convoluted, the story. Not that it was hard to understand. It was just so much was going on tonight. It was all over the place, really. However, that's with that being said, the episode was very tense in a few moments. I really enjoyed the ending because I can't wait to see where they're going to go next with the show. It was very kind of, you know, mysterious, trying to find out who this guy who killed Miss Watson. You know, that scene when the police raid his house, that was pretty cool. The whole scene with Norman and Norma was well acted. Again, Vera Farmiga and Freddie Highmore pull off amazing performances in tonight's episode. I liked how Bradley's storyline was finally resolved. The whole thing with this drug war, and I can't wait to see where they're going to go with that. So a lot of good things happened on tonight's episode, guys. That's why I was really pleased with it. So in the end, I'm going to give this episode a rating of a 9 out of 10. I really liked it, guys. I got to say, I was really entertained by it. I enjoyed it. I was into it. What can I say? So I can't wait to see what happens next week on next week's episode, guys. I'm very curious. See what they're going to do with their brother. I actually can't wait for it. So tonight's episode of Bates Motel was really good. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm a huge fan of The Walking Dead, but this episode of Bates Motel was a hell of a lot better than last night's episode of The Walking Dead, that's for sure. At least they're going somewhere in this story, okay? And Walking Dead. But anyway, guys, yeah, so if you have seen the episode already, let me know down below. What do you think of... What did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think it was too much was going on, or were you entertained by it like I was? Like I said, I really enjoyed it. And also, answer me this one question, guys. Did Norman kill Miss Watson? Is he guilty, or do you really think that someone else killed her? Do you still think that Norman did it? Because I seriously think he still did. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching my video, and I'm sorry again for my voice and how I had so much to discuss, but there was a lot to discuss with tonight's episode. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Stay tuned for more videos from me coming soon. Bye, guys.